This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Well, hey there and happy Thursday. Welcome to She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. This is your host, Kinsey Roberts. Thanks so much for being with me today. I am really looking forward to today's episode. I did a Tip Tuesday episode a couple weeks ago about a Facebook ad that I was running. It was the $35 a month kind of Facebook ad for a business page that guarantees you so many clicks. And that episode got some really great feedback because I think as business owners, we're all interested in paid ads and paid marketing and, how we can use social media to the best of our ability. And, the truth is that really does include paid ads now, especially on Facebook. And today I am bringing back Sarah Evans to the podcast from Sarah Evans Weddings to talk all things Facebook ad strategy. Now, this episode, I will say this in the beginning, this episode isn't why is Facebook ads great? Why should we be doing them? There's a little bit of that, but I just assume that we all already know that. I just assume that we already know Facebook ads can do great things in our business. So we really don't go into like those really basic things. We actually really get into the mechanics of an ad that you can run that can benefit your business and your email list. So this is kind of a technical episode. And I don't mean technical in the sense that Sarah is walking you through step by step your Facebook ads manager and telling you now click here, because that would be boring on a podcast episode. But this is really about here is the type of ad you can run, here is what it can do for your business, and here's why you think we think you should run an ad like this. It can build your email list. Here's how you can retarget those people, what retargeting means. So if you have been looking for an episode that might get you out of your comfort zone just a little bit, it might sound a little bit like, ooh, I don't understand what they're talking about, but it sounds exciting. That is this episode today. Sarah Evans, before she became a wedding planner, worked in digital and paid marketing where she was managing budgets. I can't even remember what she said in this interview, but I'm pretty sure it's managing budgets up to $10,000 a day. I thought it was $10,000 a month, but it was actually a day. Don't quote me on that. The real number is in this episode because she let me know what it was. And she really did great. She also booked 16 weddings in her first year in a matter of months using paid advertising strategies that she had learned in her day job. So you can see why I brought Sarah back to talk about this. She was back in episode 18, and that was really more about client experience. So if you're interested in client experience and Sarah's personal story, head back to episode 18 because we really don't go over it in this episode because it's her second time on. So if you want to hear more about her personally, head to episode 18. Before we get started, I have two things to tell you. At the end of this episode, Sarah does mention a masterclass that she was going to run and offer us $10 off as a group, as She Creates Business family. She's not running that class any longer because she has transitioned to offering one-on-one support and education, which I love. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. I'm really digging people who are offering one-on-one education and mentorship. I know that it's not, quote, scalable like online classes are, but honestly, I feel like it's so much better for the person on the receiving end. So I just talked to her about this morning, and I'm so excited to say that Sarah is now offering one-on-one mentorship sessions for social leads, how to do marketing, paid marketing, specifically on Facebook and Instagram. And if you are interested in that, she will still give you a discount if you mention that you're a She Creates Business listener. Just head to sarahevansweddings.com/class. You'll see a button that says the class from August is sold out. Click the sold out button and you'll see information on how to contact her for a one-on-one session. Again, that's sarahevansweddings.com/class. Click the sold out button. Contact Sarah for your one-on-one session and mention that you're a listener of the show, and she will give you that discount. I cannot say enough about her knowledge about Facebook ads. The second announcement I want to tell you is I mentioned this on Tuesday's episode. I know that we are all thinking about everything people have lost, people in general. You guys, human beings are in feet and feet of water in Texas. And so I was kind of thinking, what can I do? How can I contribute? I'm sitting here in the mountains of Colorado and I'm totally fine and dry, and that comes with its own feelings, right? So we really can only do what we can with what we have where we are. And what I can do is donate 100% of the proceeds of She Creates Business, a book for wedding pros, from now until September 30th to Harvey relief. Hurricane Harvey has just hammered Houston. And so from now until September 30th, all pre-orders of the book will go to the Red Cross in support of Hurricane Harvey relief. So if you would like to pre-order your copy, it is $18. I would love that. And I think that together we can raise some money and do what we can with what we have. You can head to shecreatesbusinesspodcast.com/book and make your special order there. Order one for yourself, order one for a girlfriend, order one for a group of wedding pros you're going to see soon, pass it out at your next meeting, whatever it is. Together we can kind of, do as much as we can with what we have. And thank you so much to those of you who have already ordered. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. I will keep you updated on how much we are raising and let you know the final check amount and before I send it off. So thank you so much. That is shecreatesbusinesspodcast.com/book. It's out. And excuse me, I'm stuttering. Without further ado, let's head to the show with Sarah Evans, all about paid ads on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Sarah Evans, welcome back to the show.
Oh, Kinsey, I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited to have you here. And we were just talking offline, everybody. Sarah Evans, as I mentioned, I said welcome back because the first time she was with us was in episode 18, which was back in November of 2016. I can't believe it's been that long.
Seriously, it's been so long, but I'm so excited to be back and talking about like a completely different thing than I was talking about before.
Yes. So in episode 18, everybody, we talked about client experience, which is wonderful. Sarah has a beautiful client experience and I loved learning from her. And today we're actually talking about a topic that it always has been, I think, like from a marketing perspective. And I think Sarah would agree because we both have worked in marketing, previous to our wedding careers, but paid ads specifically on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm really excited to have Sarah here because as I, mentioned in her professional bio there at the top of the show, she, managed budgets as big or bigger than $10,000 a month, previous to becoming Sarah Evans Weddings. So really excited to dig into this topic.
Yeah. And actually, Kinsey, it was $10,000 a day. So it was.
Okay, just kidding, you guys.
Whoa. Yeah, it was a lot of money. And when I think back to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of responsibility.
How did that make you feel, having that responsibility for these businesses? Like, were they looking directly to you to get them results?
Oh, yeah. For a good portion of my time when I was working for this company, I was the only person getting these leads on Facebook and Instagram. So they were looking to me to be that person. And that's kind of, I went from a high pressure job to another high pressure job, wedding planning.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I feel like I was responsible for people's take home and their commissions. It became a little bit too much for me. But I mean, it was really cool when I would succeed really well because, that's a really big win for a company when they're spending that much money to make, tenfold of that off a $10,000 spend. So
that is a really big win. And you know what I like about paid ads is when you do see the win, you can see it. You know what I'm saying? It's not, what do I mean? It's not something that is kind of like on the peripheral. Like it's kind of like, oh, that felt good. You actually have, analytical data. And then of course the financial gain of spent this much on this ad. Here's what I got out of it. And I really think that is an awesome feeling for business owners.
Oh yeah. I think especially when you have that first win and maybe a lot of the listeners haven't had that win yet. But once you have that first win, it's almost like I don't know, there's something psychological about it. It's like, okay, now I can keep going and keep going. And like financially, you have money to reinvest into your advertising spend. So
yes, absolutely. Okay. So let's dig in because I would agree. I would say that a lot of people listening haven't had that first win yet, or maybe they've had a couple of small wins, but they don't understand how to really harness the power of ads. And quickly, Sarah, I think we talked about this in episode 18, but if we didn't, and we have a lot of new listeners since then, so tell us how you used Facebook ads in the first year of your business to book your couples.
Yeah, totally. So without getting too technical, I'll give you just a little bit of background here. So yeah, when I decided to get done my job, there was a little bit of like hustle mentality in me, like, okay, now I really need to get this going. I need to build my business. So basically I started out, doing exactly what I teach, spending $5 a day, testing, seeing what's working. And because I had the background, I knew that as I was testing, I would find what works. But I think sometimes we give up a little bit too early, but maybe we'll get into that later. But so I was testing, getting people to blog posts. That was kind of my I wanted people to read a blog post and I wanted to retarget them, which is a tool that you can use that's super powerful on Facebook, on Instagram. So anyway, I was retargeting people, trying to find my ideal client. And what I found is, for one, a lot of people would come to my website, scroll around, inquire. So that was just nice. And I kind of call those the unicorns because honestly, I wasn't asking them to inquire. But once I had people who were reading my blog post and I was gathering that data, then what I would do is turn around and retarget them for their email address. Once I had their email address, I would email them and retarget them on Facebook and Instagram. And that's kind of how I booked my first handful of clients. As I was getting better at the wedding industry, Facebook and Instagram ads, I would get better client results. I would get the people that I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait to work with you. So when I started to feel that satisfaction with my ads in this space, that's what I knew. Okay, other people have to be doing this, right? And I was looking around and I was like, are photographers doing this? Are planners doing this? Are stationary people doing this? No one has seemed to be doing it. So for one, I had the leg up because I had the space all to myself, but also like it made me think, where else are people marketing and are they getting the return that I am?
Right.
So.
Right. And I just want to break down just a little bit what you were doing to get those initial handful of brides. So as Sarah mentioned, you guys, she ran a Facebook ad, and that Facebook ad didn't go to a product or an opt-in. It went to free content, which is a blog post. So that person was free to read and then leave her site. And by retargeting, it means she ran another ad, and you said retargeting for their email address. So I imagine that retargeted Facebook ad to the folks who'd already been to her site once for a blog post, reading a blog post, was some sort of opt-in to capture their email.
Yes, okay. Definitely. Okay, so the blog post, think about, what I recommend is think about the most valuable content you could give the client right before they were to book you. So for me, that was for the blog post, it was top 20 venues in Colorado, which is the state that both Kinsey and I live in. Mm-hmm. And so it was very valuable. People are like, ooh, what are the top 20 venues that I can, book my wedding at? So then I had the Facebook pixel in place, which maybe we'll get to that as well. But okay, good. So I had that in place so I could easily retarget people who were visiting that blog post and send them to a new ad that was for a Colorado wedding planning guide. So everything you needed to know about planning your Colorado wedding. And that took off like gangbusters. That was good. That was really, really good for me.
That Colorado wedding planning guide was the opt-in, right? It was still free.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Okay.
All of this is free. And then, so I had their email address and I followed up with a sequence of emails that ultimately would either land the client, get them engaged, or I had their email address, which is another valuable tool you can use with Facebook and Instagram ads, and I was able to retarget based on their email address as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just taking them deeper and deeper down the funnel until they either book or they fall off.
Or they fall off, right? And you put your business in front of them so many times, even if they don't book. And I don't know how you would track this, but they could very well recommend you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. So the thing about retargeting is, especially after I sent that email sequence, I was just getting in front of them time and time again. So, they may not be ready to book when you send those emails, but maybe they're ready to book a couple months from there, and you're getting in front of them constantly.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. We could go so many ways with this.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's start with some examples. Let's do that. Take the example. Well, let me ask you a quick question. How many brides or couples would you say you booked from this system?
I probably booked about 11 on my own from just the system in my first couple months. So probably about 5 months. Booked about 11 of those.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's use an example for this exact Facebook ad scenario, and let's use it for a calligrapher, and then let's use it for a florist. So take me through like what kind of ad like a calligrapher could do, sending them to their website and then retargeting them, and like something they could offer as an opt-in. Let's kind of go through some real life examples.
Ooh, yeah. No, that's really good. Okay, so calligrapher, blog post, or how to craft the perfect invitation suite. Because I'll tell you, nobody knows how to word invitations. I found that as a wedding planner, it's a hard one for sure. So even like, okay, something super valuable. They're starting to think about their invitation suite. All right, how do I actually word my invitations? Maybe that's a blog post. That's just an idea. I could give you 20 if I had a little bit more coffee in me this morning.
That's all right.
But no. So that would be a good blog post. But then the retargeting, the actual PDF download could be a full stationary guide, or something that when to send out your RSVPs, when to send out your invitations, what does it look like, how is it written, what's the what are all the faux pas and things you need to know when you send out those invitations. So yeah, I feel like if they can send people to that blog post, capture, a handful of people there, then they can retarget those people, get their email address using a more valuable opt-in. So that's one point to make. Usually the blog post is obviously super, super valuable, but you want to even up your game for that opt-in. Make it super valuable, make it irresistible, make it something that they're looking for right at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Make it something they might pay for even.
Right.
But make it free.
Yeah. Make it free. Make it be like, oh my gosh, she's giving me this for free. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah.
So what about for a floral designer? And you know what I think is really, what I love about this strategy is that you mentioned, so we'll get to the floral designer example in just a second, but what I like about this strategy is you mentioned, in our industry, right when they see your ad, they're not always going to be ready to book because the industry is so cyclical, and you don't know we can never know where they're at in their journey. I think we can target engaged people, but we don't know if they're going to have a 2-year engagement or a 6-month engagement,
Yeah.
So I think this is really valuable. So I really do want to dig into the email sequence, but let's talk about how a floral designer could use this strategy in their business.
Yeah, definitely. So for a florist, think like, okay, maybe the blog post is 14 ways you can use florals on your wedding day. So maybe you add some unique things like, okay, here's, this you may not have thought of, how to use florals on your wedding day. Something kind of different out of the box catches your eye. Or maybe like 7 things to ask your florist before booking, something along those lines. And you can always, what I say is you can always catch them a step before meeting you. So even if they're not ready for their florals, maybe they're at their venue choosing process, or they're at their dress choosing process. I don't think it necessarily needs to correlate specifically with your industry. Now, the opt-in, I would say, they need to know who you are, what you do, and give it more of a concrete opt-in. So for like a florist, it could be your ultimate guide to spring florals, or ultimate guide to summer florals, something like that, where it's obviously super valuable. Because, again, being a wedding planner, brides don't always know, like, what flowers should I choose? I like this photo, but will they be in bloom? Are peonies going to cost $15 a stem? I don't know. So just education, educating your clients is super huge. And you can do that in that PDF download. And then again, you have their email. Like, that is gold. You can email them right then and there, or once they download your PDF, or, you give them a little sequence and then no response, you email them a little bit later. Mm-hmm. You can catch them along their wedding planning journey.
Absolutely. I have a quick question. Now, do you in this particular sequence that we're talking about, you guys, so again, just to remind you kind of what we're talking about, how you could use Facebook ads here is you run a Facebook ad to a blog post. You have a Facebook pixel installed on your website, which Sarah will tell you what that means. That Facebook pixel will allow you to retarget those blog post visitors to take them to another free piece of content, which this time is an opt-in so that you can capture their email. And then at that point, they can go into your email sequence because you definitely should have one set up, or you can target them using their email address as well. Because now you know where they are in the step in the process. You can say, okay, these people got to me from this free blog post. They downloaded this opt-in. So now I'm going to retarget them with this additional information because according to the sequence, they're at XYZ step in my process. Does that make sense?
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Cool.
Your listeners should know we're kind of talking like strategy here. We're not really giving them the super basics of Facebook and Instagram ads. We're actually saying, okay, this is some strategy you could implement if you know the basics well.
Yes. I think it's important to say that if you don't know the basics, you should get a handle on those. I'm definitely a believer in like just try by doing, and sometimes you got to like learn, trial by fire and hop in. But I think this is a basic strategy, I would say. Would you say that? Or would you say that there's, you can just run one ad, but what do you think? Tell me what your thoughts are.
No, it is one of the more basic strategies. I actually put out a course not long ago, and that walks through about like 7 or 8 different strategies. I'd say this is probably like one of the more simple strategies you could do. Now, saying that, I mean, one thing that we're going to have to really touch on is the Facebook pixel, because I think probably a few of your listeners are like, what is that? And
what does that even mean? Dive into that.
It's a weird, okay.
The Facebook pixel is what will make this whole thing happen. So how does that work? Tell us what it is.
Yes. Okay. So first, Facebook Pixel is a snippet of JavaScript that tracks events, including who visits your website, who visits specific pages on your website and not others. And it needs to be placed on every page of your website. So without the Facebook Pixel in place, nothing matters. So, and I say that so lightly, but it's true. I believe that you should never spend money getting people to a page on your website without having the pixel in place. So I actually created a short video that I recorded just showing how to place the Facebook pixel on WordPress and Squarespace, and I'll give that to Kinsey and she can link it in the show notes. But basically it's just a little snippet of code again that you just copy from your Facebook Ads Manager where you manage all of your advertisements, and then you stick that on your website between the head code there. And now with WordPress, if you have a WordPress, there's plugins for that. If you have a Squarespace, it's seriously simple, super, super simple. So you'll be able to put it on there, no problem. But that's how you retarget. That's how you track visitors. That's how you can tell people went to specific pages of your website and not like, that they visited the specific blog page, but they never went to your pricing page. They never went to your about page. You can tell all of that with the Facebook pixel.
Mm-hmm. And Sarah, in your course, you show students how to read that data.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Yep.
Yes. So so it is really easy, and I will make sure to link up that video that Sarah gave me to show you how to install the pixel on your site. I think it's really important to say that you don't actually write the JavaScript; it's from Facebook, and you just copy and paste.
Exactly. No, I wouldn't be able to.
Me neither. I'd be like, no, thank you. Just kidding. I might give it a shot. We'll see. But so in Sarah's course, she actually shows you, how she just mentioned, if you have this Facebook pixel, you have a lot of data at your fingertips. If people are coming to visit at your site, and she shows you how to read that data, which, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, will help people decide which ads to run.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it'll give you so much information. Yeah, basically how relevant your ad is being to your audience, and it just helps you track everybody who's getting to your website. You can track people who visited your pricing page and then bounced. That's like, okay, they were obviously interested, but they never booked. So maybe I need to send them, an ad to get their email, because they're obviously maybe a little bit farther in the funnel than somebody who's just reading a blog post. So there's so much you can do with that Facebook pixel once you have it in place.
Okay. I think that the strategy we were talking about earlier, there are a lot of moving parts to that strategy. You know, you can, we're talking about free blog post, free opt-in, pixel, retarget their email address. That's a lot of steps. And I think it's important to say that, you know, before you retarget someone to put them on, retarget someone for an opt-in to put them on an email list, you have to have a sequence already done. And maybe someone doesn't have a sequence already done. These are a lot of steps. So because, you know, if you were coaching someone who is really new to Facebook ads, what would you advise them to do first? Because maybe it's not that sequence and that strategy we talked about.
Sure. No, that's a good point. I know it's a lot to take in. I mean, goodness, somebody might have to listen to this a couple times to really write things down and make sure that they're catching it all. But so first thing that I would have you do is obviously install that Facebook pixel on your site. Again, we'll have the tutorial up there. It's not too difficult. If you have a web designer, they could do that for you, I'm sure. But you can do it yourself. So anyway, you can place the Facebook pixel. That's number one. Number two, I would say to people as they're starting to, I guess, you know, start with their ads, put their ads out there. I just recommend people to be patient and to test. I think a big misunderstood notion of Facebook and Instagram is that once you activate a new advertising campaign, you are going to instantly find success. And I've seen it done. And you can have success on your first campaign, but I'll tell you the vast majority of us need to just test to find out what's working and what's not. So a lot of people are probably asking themselves, okay, so all these sequences that you guys are talking about, all these ads, how much is this going to cost before I figure out what works?
That's right.
Yeah. And that's a valid question. Obviously, there's no hard and fast formula to figure that out. But I will say that if you test at $5 a day until you find out what works, that would be the best strategy I could advise. You have to go into advertising with a mindset that you're going to need to spend money to test until you find out, you know, what works, what ad creative works, what headline works, what text works. And that really makes a difference in your business. And then you can scale. So you're going $5 a day. Okay, well, something's working really well. Okay, so I'm going to jump to $7 a day. Okay, that's working great. $10 a day instead of $5 a day to $20 a day to $50 a day, you know. So I would just advise people as they're starting out and they're learning, you know, about Facebook and Instagram ads, be patient with the system, be patient with the algorithm, be patient with yourself, and you'll be able to figure it out. I'm sure of it.
And I know that this is a total opinion and kind of an assumption that we'd be making, but if someone's testing at $5 a day, how long do you think they should test?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. So basically you're going to need your ads to run, I would say I would give it at least 5 days. And that may seem like a long time because you may think, okay, right at that, you know, 72 hours, you may see some results, but I think it's important to let it run. Just one rule that I kind of keep in the back of my mind is $5 a day. It's going to take a little bit to build some data. Facebook's going to need to build some data. Well, you're going to also have to just be patient with the algorithm. It changes, it moves, it fluctuates until it finds what's right for that ad specifically. So one way to test or quickly look to see if your ad is working is by looking at the relevancy score. And the relevancy score, it's on your dashboard in your ads manager once you set up a campaign. And that's going to give you the best indication of how your ad's going to do moving forward. Now, it'll give you a score between 1 and 10, and 10 being the best you can actually get. So if you're closer to 10, that's great. If you're below 6, I would say something's got to change in your ad. So that's a good way to just quickly tell, okay, how is my ad performing? How is it going to perform in the future?
Mm-hmm. And let's say my relevancy score is below 6, what should I be changing? In typical A/B testing in marketing, we don't want to change everything because it would be hard to pinpoint what wasn't working. So what do you recommend people change when it comes to their Facebook ad?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so some people say to actually change your advertisement, but I'm talking about changing something, changing a variable in your ad, but by duplicating the ad. So there's a duplicate button in your ads manager. So if you have an ad and it's something's not working there, then what you want to do is just duplicate that ad and change a variable in that ad, meaning you're not going to change the text and the image and the call to action all at the same time. You're going to change the image. Does that perform better? Do you get a better relevancy score? Are people clicking on that more? Or is your CTR better? Those are the sort of things you have to pay attention to. Okay, so maybe it's not getting better. Okay, well, maybe duplicate. We need to now change the text. How does does that perform better? That's where all the testing and the tweaking and the being patient comes in. Mm-hmm. But once you find something that works really, really well, that's the sort of stuff that you can scale.
So you're testing and doing all of these different A/B tests and duplication and all of that with your $5 a day. Then you find what works, and then you can increase to that 7, that 10, that 20 plus.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then you're not testing with $20 a day.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like if you walk away from your computer, and I was spending crazy amounts of money. So if I walked away from my computer for 5 minutes, yes, I may have spent a couple grand, but with, $5 a day, the risk is so much less, the risk doesn't feel so weighty. And I say $5 a day. So if you're doing $5 a day tests for 30 days, it'll be like $150. Yeah. So it's nothing too crazy.
It's not. And I think that if you prepare for it, like if you're listening right now and you're like, geez, I don't really have $150 in my marketing budget. Well, you don't have to try it today. I think it's important to kind of prepare yourself to do it so that way you can really give it a good test. If you're like, I don't have it today, but I'll have it in October or whatever. Well, it's okay to, you haven't been running Facebook ads up to this point. So I think it's okay to, wait an extra 60 days, put aside $150 so that you can really give it a good shot instead of like, I only have $30. Facebook ads didn't work for me. I quit.
Yeah, no, I am so with you there. I say, make sure that you plan ahead, you have a strategy before you launch your Facebook and Instagram ads. I think that's super, super important. I will say, when I think about people's marketing budgets, and this may be me on my soapbox a little bit, but when I think about
just a little,
just a bit, but I think about people who are spending, and probably a ton of us, or a ton of your listeners, not me, but a ton of your listeners are spending money on The Knot, Wedding Wire. And you're paying this good chunk of money to get in front of who knows how many people and who knows what kind of leads they are and who knows, what their interests are and all this stuff. So, but with Facebook, I can literally say, I want to target engaged people between these ages, and I want the bride to like anthropology. Oh my gosh, I can do that, and I can get in front of them without like leaving my desk chair, which I think is the best part of Facebook and Instagram ads.
Oh, that's so brilliant. And that you make a good point, which brings up another question for me. So you just said you're not advertising on The Knot. So is it an assumption on my part? Are you doing any directory advertising?
No,
okay.
None.
All right.
0.
Love this. And have you since you started your business at all? Or
no, not at all. So I have done a few like publications, like I've been published in a few like online publications, but not I'm not paying for that. I will never, you can mark my words, I will never pay for a Knot or Wedding Wire or any of those inquiry sites. I know they work for some people and they get their ideal client, but I'm going to tell you what, if you're looking to get in front of the people who are your dream clients, you have way more control over getting in front of them using Facebook and Instagram ads.
You heard it here first. Sarah Evans Weddings will never pay for direct.
I just think, man,
I love this. That's really interesting. Well, and I'm sure you've seen in the wedding Facebook groups. I mean, people have just a serious love-hate relationship with these big directories.
Oh yeah, no, totally. But I think, okay, well, they're spending, I think somebody contacted me and wanted me to spend like, I don't know, $1,700 to get in The Knot for, and it wasn't even like a really good spot. And I was like, gosh, what return can I get with $1,700
right.
on Facebook and Instagram. Like not even close. Not even close. So that's why I just decided that wasn't my route to take. And I think if people knew more about Facebook and Instagram ads, they would be able to say, you know what, I don't need, a big advertising, site to get me the results I need. I just need to get in front of the right people.
That's exactly right. So brilliant. And I think the other day, but the other day I was contacted by Wedding Wire, maybe. I've chatted with their sales rep here in Colorado where we are, Sarah. And I think for an upgraded listing, you guys, it's $6,500 a year.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
wow.
really expensive. That's a lot of money. And the other thing too is there's yearly contracts, which in this day and age, anything online that you have to be locked into for 1 year, totally, instantly turns me off because the landscape changes so quickly.
Yes.
And so I just think with a Facebook ad, you can turn it off. You can turn it off whenever you want to. You can up your budget whenever you want to. You can decrease your budget whenever you want to. And you can change your targeting if your ideal client changes, if your business changes, your offerings change. You have so much control, as Sarah mentioned, where with these big directories, you are completely out of control and you're locked in. I mean, here's what would be great, but even if you're totally booked, 6 months into the year, you're still paying for that directory listing for the rest of the year, bringing in leads, and you got to turn them down.
Yeah, I know that to me, that just makes my heart hurt. It's no, you can actually, you can spend $75 one month. You can spend $10 the next if you're I just want to get in front of a few people. So you have full control with Facebook and Instagram ads, where other sites, other places where you're just paying and paying and paying monthly, not knowing, okay, maybe I'll get a lead this month, maybe I won't, and maybe it's going to be a budget bride, maybe it won't, so there's too many variables for me. I want to just get in front of the people who are going to just kind of be my ideal clients.
There you go. I love it. I have a couple more questions as we wrap up here. The first is, now that you are, a couple years into business, how are you, are you still using Facebook ads? I know the answer to that already. And how are you using them now?
Yeah, so I totally am. It definitely changes. Again, what's really nice is I can spend, $150 and then I can spend, or I take a month off if I don't think the summer months are producing as much as I want, which I would actually argue that they do more. There's certain months that don't bring in as much for me, but everybody's a little different. Every state's a little different. So, but anyway, I am really using a lot of the simple processes, but I build on that simple process. So I have that blog post, I have that retargeting set in, I have that opt-in, but I'm also building on those layers of retargeting, and it's pretty high level stuff, but I'll tell you, that's the sort of stuff I teach in my course. And in what I'm going to mention at the end, I'm launching some classes, live classes, for this fall. So I'm building on that simple principle. So I'd say if you're just starting out, maybe let's nail that principle of getting that Facebook pixel in place, getting that blog post in place, making sure you're building a valuable opt-in for your retargeting. Just start simple and just grow from there.
I'm writing that down. Start simple, grow from there. Okay, we've talked about it a couple of times. Tell us what you're offering this fall, because I think it's going to be so helpful to learn this from a wedding professional for our wedding businesses, because you understand both the paid ad side and the industry side, which I think is absolutely wonderful. So give it to us.
You're so sweet. Okay, so I'm super excited about this. So when I first decided I was going to teach Facebook and Instagram ads, I didn't know what I was, getting into. I didn't know honestly, I didn't know what need was there. Yeah. I was like, man, I just saw the need, and I said, man, nobody knows this. Let me just give you some value. Let me teach you what I know. Mm-hmm. So I leave it all on the table in those classes, and Kinsey has taken part in those classes before. So
That's right.
So I'm launching a couple classes this fall. So I know that this won't come out for my first class that's going to launch, but my second class in September, this will be perfect timing for you guys. So it's 5 hours of class time, live classes for 2 weeks. So it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then another Monday, Wednesday. And basically there's live classes. I go through everything from placing the Facebook pixel all the way to the most advanced strategy you can get, all in those 2 weeks. So there's a ton of freebies, a ton of things you'll be learning, email support. I'm doing these classes live, so I answer questions live. And you'll have these recordings for forever. But what I found is I also have a standardized or like a class you could take now. It's a video course class. But what I found is when I follow up with people who have taken my course, they're like, yeah, I'm working through it. Because it is a lot of information. But what I really want for people this fall, where there's a high opportunity to book people, what I want people to do is just say, all right, I'm going to knock this out in 2 weeks. I'm going to learn all that I can about Facebook and Instagram and then apply it.
Yes.
So I want people to have a super laser focus for those 2 weeks and then move forward. So that's kind of my plan for this fall. So if you go to Sarah Evans Weddings, and that's Sarah with an H, evansweddings.com/class, you'll be able to learn all about about my live classes. And I have a code for you. If you use She Creates, all one word, you'll get $10 off, which makes this class super affordable, you guys. $65 if you use that code. So,
what?
Yeah. No, see, here's my heart for the wedding industry.
I was just about to say, you guys have taken Sarah's class. She is obsessed with the industry and helping us learn paid ads. So I'm not surprised.
Right. Well, the thing is, I get it. Especially when you're first starting out, it's like, okay, how much can I invest? And you're going to invest in Facebook and Instagram ads themselves. So I just wanted to say, hey, here's a low barrier. Let's get it done. Let's learn a lot. And then you can start running Facebook and Instagram ads after those 2 weeks, which is pretty amazing. It took me years to learn all this stuff. So I'm super excited I can share with you guys all of that information. So again, that's SarahEvansWeddings.com/class. You should be able to get there.
That is so wonderful. Thank you so much. I will have all of these links in the show notes, and that includes the link to how to install your Facebook pixel, the video that Sarah mentioned earlier, and then of course to SarahEvansWeddings.com/class. If you use the code SheCreates, you will get $10 off of that awesome 5 hours, 2 weeks of live classes, so you can learn everything you need to know for 2 weeks and then hit that engagement season hard. Sarah, thank you so much for being here. It is truly my pleasure to have you back on the show.
Oh, Kinsey, it was my pleasure. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. Please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.